Wassail, beautiful people. Can't see me very well, but you can see the cards. But I wanted you to be able to see the sea. See that you can see the cards. So we're going to look at Sedna for several reasons. Firstly, I've been following the story, I don't know whether any of you have, Wassail Francesca. And in about August, September last year, a big walrus called Freya pitched up in Norway. Wassail red its clips, Wassail Tiffany's empire. So Freya turned up, and all the people wanted to see Freya, and the authorities were like, please don't upset the walrus. And then overnight, they euthanized her, and then blamed everyone in the public for getting too close, and that she was going to pose a danger, which was a really sad story. Then just before New Year's Eve, Thor, who'd been seen in Holland, turned up in Britain, and they cordoned it off and they let people watch, and I was a bit concerned for Thor's well-being, but actually they let Thor be, and Wassail Kathy, they let Thor be, and he's been calling in at different places as he heads further and further north and just stopping and enjoying himself. Everyone was saying in all the comments, you can't believe how massive a walrus is. And I was thinking how I've never seen a walrus, and I really have no idea how big a half-ton or three-quarter-ton animal looks. And then yesterday, it actually came on New Year's Day, there's a walrus just along the beach dead. And I was like, I can now go and see a walrus. And I was picking up Sedna energy, and they were going to bury it because it was beginning to smell very bad. Well, I have to say it wasn't bothering me. It smelled like rich minerals from the sea. But they were going to bury it. And then this morning I said, don't bury it just yet. Give it overnight because there's a high tide. Maybe it will be dragged away. And when I got up this morning, it moved. Just about, I don't know, 10 metres. And then I discovered it was a second one. The other one was still where it was. So there's two dead walruses now, just out here. And I'm calling them Mum and Dad. But I'm being drawn to Sedna. Why Sedna? Because Sedna is the Inuit goddess who, during her story, and her father cuts off her fingers from the edge of a boat, her fingers become all the sea mammals, and as she falls to the bottom of the ocean, she has control over all these creatures that are kind of caught in her hair. Long stories that we don't necessarily need, but Sedna as a body is about to do something quite amazing. So Sedna is 3 times as far away from Pluto. Does that make sense? It's 3 times as far away from the Earth as Pluto is. That's how you say it. So it takes something like 11,000 for 1 sec. I've just got someone coming in. Yeah, just pop it there. Yeah, Cece. It takes 11,000, I think, 408 years to do an orbit. 11,408. So when it was first discovered, I've written that down somewhere. Why have I not? It's one of the first things I did. Oh yeah, November the 14th. I'm rubbish today. November the 14th, 2003. It's also designated asteroid 90377. When it was first discovered, it was in Aries. But if you go back in the ephemeris, 5,000 years is what most ephemeruses will go back. It's kind of just reached 0 degrees of Scorpio in the year 3000 BCE, so before Common Era. And it's there for 1,559 years. It's then in Sagittarius, the 1,417. You see it's got a little bit quicker. Capricorn for just 1,017. Aquarius for 586. Pisces 232. And then Aries for 100 years. Taurus 54 years. So it's currently in Taurus at 29 degrees. It's going to ingress into Gemini, come back out, then go back in and stay there. But it's been in Taurus for 54 years. So it moved into Taurus in 1968. And then it's going to Gemini, as I said, around, let's give you the date, I'm sure I put it in the title. It's going into Gemini on the 24th, 25th of June, like the rebirthing time of the sun after the June solstice. And then it goes back briefly in December, January, February and March, back into Taurus, but then it will move 2024, I said for good, for 32 years, into Gemini. So I thought today we would just ask the lovely Liffruma deck to just give us some Sedna facts. So here's an image of Sedna's symbol. So, I was going to light some Palo Santo. I bought the lighter. I got the Palo Santo. Yeah, you can't rely on anyone yourself, but it's good to have worked that out within 3 days. Rennie. It's very windy here. There's a very strong inshore breeze comes in, and I've got this window open. I'm just afraid the cars won't blow away because my book keeps trying to fold up. So I'm just gonna begin with just the Sedna general, because Sedna's about soul consciousness. It's an energy of betrayal quite often, but since it was only discovered in 2003, we know very little. And all the while it's been known about, anyone born after 1968 has been born with Sedna in Taurus. There are some people who have Sedna in Aries, but we know so very little. So much is up for grabs. Wassail, so everybody, let's get this lovely Liffruma healing oracle out. I just want to say, I no longer shuffle any more cards. The website is underway, and as soon as it can be, it will all be up with articles, threads, a veritable feast of information about this deck. But obviously that all takes writing. So that's what I've been doing. I have to say, just before we get going on this, I have spent the end of last year doing a lot of releasing, but also I feel like I've been gifted with visiting the very bottom of the cosmic ocean. I don't know, there's links to Sedna, to Ran. I've been getting that sense that whatever the energy is that I connect with in the ocean that's currently calling itself Ran, or wearing an opal lagoon that appears as Ran, that same energy is now wearing, I want to say a seal skin, but a walrus skin is coming across in that energy. They've both been buried today, so Mum and Dad are under the sand now, but I don't know how it works. I don't know how quickly they decompose. I know that there are people that would like to get hold of the bones of these creatures. The local people were very matter of fact about the fact that they were there. It was a feast of the vultures. I've been connecting very much with that energy of the vultures recycling life. Running into a rigidity from certain people where the pretty walrus has died and the vultures are just evil. It's just, I'm trying to explain that there are just some very other life cycles that life goes through that we appreciate. This is just worth observing. So let's get a little napkin from Sedna, just to open this Sedna extravaganza. So everyone had a good New Year so far? I'm digging into some stuff because there's been a lot of physical exhaustion going on with people, and I'm trying to track that down to something Sedna's up to. I just wiped this table and it's still really sticky. I've got to get something because I can't have sticky fingers on the cards. Enjoy the sea for a minute while I get a cloth. There we go. Hello again, beautiful people. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful people. Wassail, Mush. Happy New Year. Who else is in here? Thank you, Kathy. I moved only across the grass, but to a place that's got brickwork and windows. A little bit more grown up. When you're my age, sometimes you appreciate the lack of a cabin. So I've got one card down here. Let's keep shuffling. Let's keep shuffling. Yeah, that's exactly it, Amy. It's like having energy and then just hitting a brick wall. I kept blaming it on Liffruma. I kept blaming it on this idea that I'd just worn out my entire brain trying to get everyone together to make the deck. And to a certain extent, yeah, I probably did. And that's fine, really. But there's a sort of oh look, there's people outside working. I'm going to move that slightly that way because I don't want to catch them in the shop. So yeah, there's been this strong energy. A lot of people have been talking to me over Christmas even about having physical aches. I feel there's very much an energy moving around at the moment, and it might be Sedna, we'll see. But of the physical body having to adjust to new frequencies, and that's bringing up illnesses, it's bringing up exhaustion, but it's also bringing up a kind of desire to detoxify in whatever way that comes. But there's a big detoxifying frequency taking place at the moment. So let's see if we can get some more cards on this. From the lovely Liffruma deck. Right, we've got a napkin. It's interesting, just one card facing up, which is towardness. But it began with this card facing down. Ken. I don't know what it is about this deck, but ever since we've decided to use it, it's fine, and then when you go to show it, something goes a bit weird with the lighting and you can't see it in its full glory. I need some water. Let me have a sip. So we've got Ken, number 6. And that's followed by, interesting. 19. So horse. So a divine movement, a divine shift, something that will spark up is this energy. I'm assuming it will have something to do with Sedna. Oh yeah, look, here we go. Earth grab. 29. This is giving me a very strong sense of the 54 years that Sedna has spent in Earth, in fixed Earth, in Taurus. As I say, Sedna's at the moment very, very close. We don't have any records for human experience for when Sedna was last this close. And as I say, it's only taking 40 odd years as it moves through Cancer and Leo, and then it starts to lengthen again until it gets all the way back to Libra and Scorpio, doing sort of like 1,000+ years. But there's something very strong about this. I want to say like a dryness for the last few years. Like, the Earth was too powerful, especially spiritually, consciousness-wise, all the while Sedna was in Taurus, because also at the same time we were going through the dying days of Earth for the Great Conjunction energy for 200 years. And look, there is a very strong soil brown resonating, and these cards are really colourful as a deck, but some of the cards do lead to a different kind of tonality. This has got potential hidden behind the gate, and it feels like this starter gate is Sedna in Gemini, moving towards Sedna in Gemini. See if we can get a bit more on that. Just gonna lay that napkin there. Let me just give the napkin another stare. I almost feel I'm being given this energy from the 3 brown cards, and they've got a very similar tonality, particularly Ken and Earthgrab. They've both got a kind of tungsteny blue and elements of orange, and they're totaling 6 and 11. So that's a 17. Now that's interesting because there was a 17 in the asteroid function name of 90377 being 17. I do get this energy that Sedna's got some kind of star healing. Also, whenever anything is in 29 degrees, it's like a critical moment because it's sort of reviewing its period in a house or a zodiac sign. And Sedna, as we say, has been going through Taurus now for 54 years and is about to move. Now, what does it mean? Well, you know, Sedna's consciousness, Sedna, they say, can be very vengeful. I don't get that energy, but there are mythologies that exist within things. There's something about this emotion that becomes all about mental health. There's something about a configuration and a need and a desire to understand more spiritual alignments. Now, it's interesting because we've gone from from Earth to air in the Great Mutation. So we're in a 200-year cycle of air conjunctions for Saturn and Jupiter. And now we're about to get in Gemini, Sedna. So there is this real sense of this transformation. Also coming up, don't forget to remind me, there's a big 8-planet and asteroid stellium coming up this year in Aries. But that's another subject. Anyway, so let's go on. Sedna. What else would you like to say, Sedna? What else? Sedna, Sedna. I've got East, but I've got East held upside down. And they were like, it's really just the last creek. There's going to be an ingress. So the ingress begins on the 25th of June, and then it goes into retrograde and pops back out into Taurus just briefly, December, January, February, March, half of April 2024. But this is this ingress dance. It's nearly done. You know, we are just a year away from this being a full 32 years, but this is a year of ingresses. This is a year when things move from critical 29 degrees to 0 degrees in so many places. Saturn moves from 29 degrees of Aquarius on the 8th of March to 0 degrees of Pisces. Pluto will move from 29 degrees of Capricorn to 0 degrees of Aquarius, but that will ingress in and out. Wassail Eve. If anyone didn't watch Eve's Libra the other day, the shadow reading, so many magical synchronicities. It was a beautiful message. So go watch it. Yeah, and then Neptune moves to 0 degrees Aries. Jupiter's just gone to 0 degrees of Aries. There's so much zeroing going on. Neptune, Gaia, Uranus will also get to 0 degrees of Gemini. And we'll have a conjunction with Sedna before moving on. I really think Sedna's got a lot going on, but I don't know enough about it. It's all very fresh. So, Sedna. Oh, I can't pick this one up, it's gone underneath my iPad. So, as I said, we had East and Candle. And that, I lost one. East Candle and Watergefall. This card in the middle, this candle, is really sticking out like an intrusion, like an irritation, like something that just needs to go away so that you can actually get from this, well, let's put it the right way up, so that you can get from this to this purifying energy. It's wonderful stuff. 11:42, oh look, 54. There is the very Taurian number of years that Sedna spent in Taurus. So give me a second to just look at what's going on within these cards. There's something about almost like, you know in Star Wars there's that bit when R2-D2 does that projection of Princess Leia. There's something of that frequency going on here, like the energy of being cusped, being almost wrapped and caught in the cusp of the energy frequency between Taurus and Gemini, is creating some kind of, I want to say like a hologram, that's something on repeat. Like you can't quite seem, there's a huge sense of what I'm getting is deja vu, but also not just deja vu, but like an idea that you've already opened that door, and when you opened it there was another door behind it, and then opening it another time and seeing somewhere else behind it, turning around and that place not being there. There's something about a sense of things coming towards you that you can't quite grasp. So, who else have we got in here now? Wassail Esther, Wassail Penelope. No, you can't see me. You can, but you can't. I have to come forward. I'm trying to let you see the sea. Just along there. because the sea is very beautiful. And it's doing that waterfall energy. So can I just ask people to press thumbs up, because it really does help the algorithms, and right at the moment we need the algorithmic help because we want to get this deck out to as many people as possible, so we need to get their attention on the website, and we need the algorithm to be supportive. So yeah, there's this projection, but this projection is becoming almost not clearer, but freer. It's almost like it's like playing forwards in time and emotion from further back in time, but how it's this past projection is somehow going to morph into the now and catch up with itself somehow. And that's gonna be just 3 days, 4 days after solstice. Now look, this card's just spun round 44. We've got both sides of this door. Hodden Baldur, candle and condor. The macro, the micro. So there's some kind of it's really interesting. They're saying to me it's like a really massive shift, a really big transformation, but in the smallest time scale. And the smallest transformations within Sedna take place over like a millennia and a half. There's something coming in about this energy only being in Gemini for 32 years. There's something very rapid, mentally, consciously transforming. And I kind of want to say that this energy of igniting a phoenix, rising high above, there's something in this energy it's sort of like a consciousness phoenix stepping outside of its cellular body. I don't know what that means, but it's like a consciousness phoenix. It's not. It's interesting, they're saying that's what always happens. So this is somehow about becoming a phoenix, but not becoming so burnt out and sooty and just ashes, but somehow igniting a consciousness phoenix, but taking your current physical well-being in to cleanse rather than totally letting go of the physical body. That's a really different concept. So let's go. I want to ask, what was the point of the last 54 years for Sedna and us? What did it mean while Sedna was in Taurus? What kind of frequencies were we experiencing? What lessons might we have learned? So Sedna in Taurus, 1968 to 2023-24. Because as I say, the first Ingress is in June this year, and then by April next year, it's there for 32 years. So, Sedna in Taurus, please, Liffruma. Sedna in Taurus, please, Liffruma. Sedna in Taurus. Sedna in Taurus. So, we got Lagoon and we got Oaths. So I'm hearing, sifting the ocean for divine cosmic eggs, but they're, within the grander scheme of things, they're being shown as kind of miniature shrimp eggs or something that you can barely see. There's also something about this Os energy that's going right back to the primordial Os god to be a completely divine cellular embodiment in which to fit cosmic consciousness. So it's been a really long 54 years of, it's like sorting wheat from cellular chaff. Wheat from cellular chaff. That's quite hard for me to say with no teeth. So there's been a kind of shedding of cellular debris that's not serving where we're going. 214, 214, 347, journeying. I mean, just look at the actual runic stroke. So we've got the east, we've got this connection, but look, it's not much to grow. There's something very, and it really, it's not about consciousness, but about how consciousness not drives in, not winds in, how consciousness fixes in to the Os, the divine holy vessel that you inhabit. There's something about the need within the energy that it's brought us to this moment from 1968, that this moment now, coming right forwards, is somehow talking about how we have begun to transform our understanding of a different journey between both the consciousness and the journey between the cells. And there's some kind of massive interface that we're going to be working with now, and it'll feel a lot like a consciousness, there's something about feeling in the dark as it begins, to find a place to bind our consciousness to ourselves in a new, more thought-provoking energy. So, let's get a little bit more. Thanks, Fib. It's because you can't avoid the sun here. Well, you can. Some days it's just cloudy. But I do brown up quite quick. So, come on, Sedna in Taurus. Sedna in Taurus. Sedna in Taurus. Like that one. I'm going to put down there. There's also hidden in the deck as a kind of, like a blind spot, is smelting. Tear. T-I-R, T-W-R, tear as in Tuesday. Tears coming across as an energy we need to find, like we need to pull in the frequency of a cosmic blacksmith. The cards have laid themselves out weirdly in a very strange, distorted trine centering around health. And actually the three cards in the trine are not showing upwards. But this is coming in with card 61, health, holobiont, our place in the earth is 61, which is another 7. So we've got this 7-7 filtration going on. So top of the trine, 33, Gar, Trove, opening space. So there's something about the transition between Sedna in Taurus and almost like that potential Gununga gap has just started to kind of retract as Gemini comes forwards, and then they're going to switch again, and that this is going to reach out and just take all that remains that no longer belongs in the Gemini frequency and throw it away. And it does have something to do with the biome, our place on the earth as a member of a hollow biome, humanity, humankind, in the earth's frequency. This hidden energy of connecting with the need to the cosmic blacksmith. You see, I'm getting this sense of sacrifice, but it's like, you can't say sacrifice because it's become such a distorted word now that it almost becomes complex in itself. But letting go of things to make room for new, and that shouldn't really be seen as a sacrifice. It needs some kind of an exchange, a swap. Why are you swapping out for something new? Because then it's not a sacrifice, it's just an opportunity to transform and grow. So beneath, there's something to do with the yod. I'm getting this sense of a yod, Sedna at the top, and then two other asteroids perhaps, or an asteroid and the moon coming down at the bottom, having some kind of relevance. I have to dig into that because that's not going to pull out the sky. So we have Brom as one part of this yod. I want to say, because it's coming in a yod of health, there's something here about asking you not habits. Sweep away, or at least analyze and play with. I want to say habits as a way of getting you to describe it, or routines, or comforts, blankets that make you feel cozy. There's all that kind of frequency going on within this. It's another 7, 52. We've also got 661. We've got 17. They're saying, look at the number. This is Sedna offering cosmic healing, star healing, really bringing down very firm foundations for you to really go in and look at new things. The other base, that's so surprising, the card that's the other base, that in terms of looking at the tonality of the cards that are already out. So we got this on the top of the yod, this two different energies opening. We've got health here in the middle. We've got Brom down here, and you can see this is all very much in a certain palette, but then this energy of Sedna moving into Gemini is a massive transformation. So you're sweeping things aside because it's coming with Liffruma. I mean, this is such a different frequency. This elven light energy, this collective consciousness of a higher dimensional hive mind, whatever you want to call it, without going to some kind of weird dark space involving the Borg. This is love energy. This is the energy of something beating change, beating time, beating dimensions. Because it's almost like saying it doesn't matter what aces you may have up your sleeve, in any moment you've always got this energy. If you want to tune in to you and the whole universe, toning for this reality, it will happen. But there is something about a yod, finger of God, pointing moment coming after maybe this June solstice. And on the bottom of the deck is the Weird Familiar card, the All Magic. There's so much potential in this coming 32 years of Sedna in Gemini. It's fascinating. So let's see what happens when Sedna pops back into Taurus. I'm good, thanks. Thank you for wondering. I've just been off since we got the deck printed and we got the pages starting to be organised. Just a massive load of energy has been flowing out of me. I've been in there swimming around, being taken to Sirius and other wonderful places in other dimensions, and it's been quite difficult coming back into the real world. It's been lovely, but it has taken me to the very edge of some wonderful spaces through the veil. And you have to be careful when you're on a bit of a bender, one of those, because you can overdo it. I always overdo it. Start just not talking to anyone. So, December 2023. Right, see that? It's just giving a very simple message. Eeyore, and leaf. Unfurling of a destiny. So there is this really strong energy. It's the frequency between the two cards is that there's very little change required to feel this energy toward, did I say the 2nd of December? 2nd of December it will retrograde back in. So what else can you tell us about retrograding briefly back into Taurus? Because it's not there anymore. It's almost like it's going in to shut the door properly. It went into Gemini. It likes it. Just needs to pop back out and close the door. So Sedna. I will do another one of these about each sign, I think, at some point, but not today. This is just, we need to bring this down into just a manageable piece, because it's a very complicated subject. Look, we're preparing the weird to mirror. We're preparing the way for the energies to change. We're preparing transformations, and you can really see these two rune shapes. You can see them hidden within the weird to mirror, the all rune here. You know, they're both findable within that. Here, center, cross. Here, again, center, and then you have the line and a second line. So there's something about this, it's not like it hits Gemini, and this is true of all music of the spheres things. It's never a flicking of a switch. It's never a moment where something just starts up and happens and doesn't give in. This is an energy of binding slowly, but 32 years, of actually reweaving mental magic is how it's best described. Mental magic. What is mental magic? What is mental magic? I've got a sense, but let's just ask, what is mental magic? It's a bell ringer. Just knocked Neptune's bell. What is mind magic? Psychology. This card of Ash, personal Yggdrasil, this wonderful distorted human face going through its own psychological reappraisals is a nice way to put this. Oh, thanks, Ziggy. It's nice to have these cards to use now. So there's something in this frequency of a huge mental magic being a huge psychological transformation, yes, but it's a huge psychological boost. So what are the other two cards? Psychological magic. What is psychological? I want you to just look at the between these two, Rad and Stenkness. I want you to observe this. There's something about the journey having a direct psychological focus. It understands where it wants to be moving, but the test is to carry that understanding into a new direction. It's almost like setting off and seeing a new goal. I almost want to say filtering, taking psychological certainties in thought magic and actually drawing them in to a point so that when they re-emerge, they can actually turn off in another direction. There's something about that fixed destiny point in time that creates a new pathway, a new journey forward. Oh, and looky here. I knew they were going numbers. 2662. A personal test. Journey your own personal test between 2nd of December 2023 and the 20th of April 2024, which is when Sedna will hit Gemini for his second and permanent ingress. So let's go with 20th of April 2024, when this really reaches its bedding in. I don't want to say climax because it's not. There's 32 years ahead of this one. So, Sedna, 20th of April 2024, which is actually the 20th of the 4th, 2024. There's something in that as well. So, what have we got? I want to say that by that point you should be mended. In some way you should, hidden in an energy, you should feel needle energy. You should feel healed. You should start with Sedna creating a healed being rather than a hurt being. That's really clearly the message. Now, we've got 6913. Waken to yourself. Wake up to your truth. Wake up to the reflection that you give to the world around you. Wake up that energy. There's something very creative, very strong in this. It's about an original, sacred creativity, and it came with one other card. It's back. It's the candle that needs lighting. It's self-belief. It's reconstructing. So that's 42 again. Reconstructing. And it is, they're saying, it's when you shut the door properly. So the 20th of the 4th, 2024 is when you shut the door properly and move into Sedna in Gemini. And it's a real self-loving, there's so much sacral energy here. So much energy really sitting powerfully orange, powerfully sacral, powerfully allying with you. There's something about the U card going in to the candle across this center point, these sort of lines that join up and these transformations. that begin in the soul and move through the sacral. So, that, my friends, is just a little glimpse into Sedna. I thought I would just, before I go, I thought I'd just see if I can take you outside and let you see a bit more of the sea. Let's just put it up there so it doesn't wobble as much. So beautiful people, I hope you've enjoyed this little look at Sedna. There is an older video we did of Sedna. Wassail Holly, Wassail Fire of Badu. So I'll probably be back tomorrow with something else to do. But I need to see what those walruses and Sedna might have to add. So we might come back tomorrow and try and do Sedna in the signs and see what we get. Anyway, I've still got a website to build as well, so. Wassail, beautiful people.